Okay, in page 2, what we have to do is multiply and divide fractions. I'm going to split this up into 4 parts. And multiplying fractions is the easiest thing to do. So what you have to do is multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms. Okay, so it couldn't be easier than that. Sometimes though, when you do that, you get 6/12, and hopefully most of you can see that counts us down to a half. Here, if I've got 12 over 90, and what I can do is, if they're even numbers, I tend to just divide by 2, make it simpler for myself. But I can always check with my calculator, because even though I've got to show the working out, I'm supposed to do this without a calculator, but I can use my calculator to check. And so I can type in 6 over 45, just check when I get the right number. Let's see if you can see that there. So you can use your calculator to check that you're cancelling it down correctly, okay? Or even if you need to cancel it down. So I'll just multiply the tops, 15, multiply the bottoms, 42. Okay, I could use my calculator to help me if I'm not good with my times tables. And again, I could use a calculator, 15 over 42. If I put that in there, that gives me 5/14, which is what we got. Now here again, the numbers starting to get a bit bigger, so I'm probably definitely using my calculator. Okay, 6 times 5 gives me 90, 25 times 18 on my calculator gave me 450, and then I just put that into my calculator over 450. Okay, well, if you're planning to do more than just sort of scrape through, you can learn a higher method, which is something you're supposed to do without a calculator, and that is we can actually start cancelling things down before we multiply. And so there's another method here. So this is what I'm going to call method 2, which helps you to do this without a calculator. You do have a calculator in the test, but you do need to show you're working out. So this method's fine, okay, but you need to show this working out. Talking about method 2 then, 5 goes into itself once and into 25 5 times. 6 goes into itself once, okay, and into 18 3 times. And here, if I multiply the tops and bottoms, get 1 over 15. Okay, well, because I've got a different answer, I need to double check. I must have done a copying error. I want 9 over 450, so something's gone wrong. 25 times 18, sorry, 25 times 18, 450, 90 over 450 is a fifth. What's gone wrong here? So it's 5's into itself go once, 25 5 times, 1 and 3, 115. So that's interesting, actually. I can see my mistake. 6 times 5 obviously is not 90, it's 30. And I'm pleased I've made that mistake, because it means that, a lot of the time this method is useful for checking. So this, again, if I do 30 over 450, you can see that counts us down to 1/15, which is the correct answer. Okay, let's have a look at this one here. So we've got 4 times 3 is 12, 15 times 16, which I'm going to check on my calculator, seeing this mistake I made last time. It's 240, and I get 12 over 240, gives me 1/20th. Okay, you can just about see it there, 1/20th. Okay, looking at this other method 2, okay, I can say that 4 goes into itself once, into that 4 times, 3 goes into itself once, and into that 5, and multiply the tops gives you 1, multiply the bottoms gives me 20. So you can see method 2 is pretty powerful. Now in question 7, we've got mixed numbers. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is change the mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now, whenever you're doing any kind of addition, subtraction, multiplying, and division, you can't use mixed numbers. You've got to change them into improper fractions or top-heavy fractions. So you can see here that 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12, 12 fifths. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 gives me 5 thirds. Okay, about 3/4 of you know how to do this. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14 over 3. However, if you want to check your answer, you can again use your calculator. So here, you can put a mixed number in incorrectly into your calculator. So here's the wrong way of putting a mixed number in. If I go 2 times, and then do the fraction button. Oops, sorry, if I do 2/5 and then put 2 in front, it looks correct, doesn't it? Okay, it looks correct. If I press equals, you can see that I've actually got something that's smaller than 2. You can see there's a 0.8 there. Okay, because what it's actually doing is doing 2/5 of 2. So you mustn't put an improper fraction in like that. If you look carefully at your calculator, I don't know if you can see this, but just above the fraction button, there is a mixed number button here. Okay, that is really, really useful. So if you want to put 2/5 in, what you do is you go shift that button, and you can see it looks like 2/5. Then you go 2 and 2/5. That is different. So if I press equals now, you can see that I get something bigger than 2, okay, which is much better than what we had before. So make sure you use the proper mixed number button. Okay, so I want to change this to thing. You can see that I'm pressing the SD button. And the SD button can cycle between these two numbers, yeah? So I can just about, if I show you that. Anyway, have a look above the SD button and you'll see that a mixed number symbol and improper fraction symbol. So I can see from here that that's 12/5. Okay, let's talk about, let's say I wanted to change 4 and 2/3. Okay, I want to show you that that becomes 14/3. So I'm going to put it into the calculator. So shift fraction button, and what was it? 4 and 2/3. 4 and 2/3. Press equals, and you see, and it's changed it for me, 14/3. Okay, so if you want to check you're changing your mixed number into improper fraction, you can use your calculator. Okay, then at that point, here I've just used, having converted everything into improper fractions, I just multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms, and then I've put that into, and I used a calculator to do that, by the way, and then I've done 180 in over 20, and that gives me 9. Okay, oh, you can't see that, sorry. Let's move that over there. So 120, I'll just put that into calculator and just cancel it down for me, okay? But I'm showing it working. Again though, you can use the other method, which is 5 goes into itself once and into that 3 times. 4 goes into itself once and into that 3 times. Multiply the tops gives you 9/1, which is equal to 9. Here again, I've got 165/30. So I've multiplied 5 times 33, got 165. I did 3 times 10, got 30. And my problem now, if I'm not good with my fractions, is how do I convert this into a mixed number? Okay, so I put 165/30 into it, and I pressed equals. Okay, and I've got 11/2. Now, most of you can see that's going to be 5.5, but let's say you couldn't, right? And what I would do is I would press Shift and then the SD button, and it will change it to a mixed number. Okay, Shift and then the SD button changes an improper fraction into a mixed number. So we can also use method 2. 3 goes into itself once and into 33 11 times. 5 goes into itself once and into that twice. That gives me 11/2. 1 times 11, which is 5.5. Okay, and here we're going to do method 2 straight away, which is just 7 goes into itself once and into that twice, giving me 2 times 7 is, what's going on there? So again, this method 2 was correct. 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 1 is 3, and I get 10/3. I made a mistake multiplying 3 and 7, which is outrageous. Okay, so I've got 10/3, okay, and let's say I'm not confident changing this in, so here's my answer here, look at 10/3 here. Just move it up there a little bit so it's a bit easy to see. Sorry about the lighting. And yeah, so I want to change this, so I'm going to press Shift, okay, and then the SD button, and it'll change it to 3 1/3 for me. Okay, so for some of you that could be really useful. 3 1/3. Okay, and then the final one then, we had 5 goes into itself once and into that 5 times, and nothing else cancels. This gives me 3 times 5, which is 15 over 2, which is 7.5.